First contact. The observation post Helios 7 hung in the void at the edge of galactic dominion space, a lonely sentinel against the darkness beyond. Commander Zathera stared at the monitors with 6 of her 8 eyes, while her secondary hands tapped restlessly on the console. 15 cycles at this post, and nothing ever happened. The Dominion's borders were secure. No species dared challenge their supremacy. Another quiet shift. Lieutenant Krek muttered, his exoskeleton clicking as he shifted in his seat. Sometimes I'd wonder why we even maintain these outposts. Protocol. Zathera replied automatically. The Archean Council doesn't take chances with. A soft chime interrupted her. One of the long-range sensors was registering an anomaly. Unusual reading in Sector 47 Delta, Krek reported, suddenly alert. Moving. Fast. Impossibly fast. Zathera moved to his station. Define impossibly. Beyond our measurement capabilities, the object appeared at the edge of our detection range and is already approaching the Nerillion belt. That's... Krek's voice faltered. That's 16 light minutes in 7 seconds. Systems malfunction. Zathera decided immediately. Run a diagnostic. Already did. Systems functioning at optimal parameters. Krek's mandibles clicked nervously. Whatever this is, it's real. Zathera activated the station's advanced sensor array, focusing all available resources on the anomaly. The holographic display materialized, showing a sleek vessel unlike any in the Dominion's databases. It was angular, with surfaces that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light, creating an impression of a void moving through space. No energy signature, Zathera muttered. No propulsion wake. No radiation. How is it moving? Commander, Krek's voice had dropped to a whisper. It's changed course. It's heading directly toward us. The command center fell silent as the crew watched the impossible ship approach. Protocol demanded they alert Central Command, but Zathera hesitated. False alarms had ended careers before. Send the standard identification request, she ordered. All frequencies. The communications officer complied, broadcasting the Dominion's universal greeting and identification demand. Seconds passed, then minutes. No response. The officer reported, "Should we?" The main screen flickered, then displayed a simple message in perfect Dominion standard. "We are MMBR, what you tried to forget." What does that mean? Krek asked, his exoskeleton paling to an anxious blue. Before Zathera could respond, a second message appeared. Prepare for judgment. Alert Central Command, Zathera ordered, her voice steady despite the cold fear spreading through her body. Priority Alpha. Unknown vessel with hostile intent approaching Helios 7. The ship was now visible through the observation window, a dark silhouette against the stars. It had stopped approximately 1,000 kilometers from the station, close enough to be threatening, far enough to be safe from the station's defensive capabilities. Incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. The screen changed, revealing a figure that sent ripples of shock through the command center. It appeared to be a bite, with 2 arms and a single head, clad in armor that seemed to flow like liquid metal. But it was the face that caused Zathera's hearts to stutter, a face from the Dominion's ancient histories, from the early days of expansion. A human face. Impossible, she whispered. They're extinct. The human's eyes were unnaturally bright, seeming to glow from within. When it spoke, its voice was melodious, yet carried an undercurrent of cold steel. This is Captain Ilara Voss of the Earth vessel Nemesis. Your empire destroyed our homeworld 3 centuries ago. You thought us eradicated. You were wrong. Central Command responded with remarkable speed. Within an hour, 3 Dominion warships had arrived, positioning themselves between Helios 7 and the human vessel. Admiral Drax, Supreme Commander of the Border Fleet, established a direct communication link with the station. What's the situation, Commander? The Admiral demanded, his chitinous face filling the screen. The vessel remains stationary, sir, Zathera reported. No aggressive actions aside from verbal threats. They claimed to be human. Admiral Drax's expression shifted subtly. That's classified information, Commander. How do you know that term? The entity identified itself. Sir, it mentioned Earth. A long pause. I see. Stand by for further instructions. The screen went dark. Lieutenant Krek moved closer to Zathera. Humans. The progenitor species. But the historical archives say they died out naturally before we expanded to their sector. Apparently, the archives are incomplete, Zathera replied softly. The human ship remained motionless as the Dominion warships surrounded it. Admiral Drax's flagship, the Inexorable, dwarfed the intruder, its weapon arrays glowing with potential energy. Attention unknown vessel. Admiral Drax's voice boomed across the communication channels. You have violated Dominion space. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded, or we will open fire. No response came. The human ship just hung there, a dark slash against the stars. Final warning, Drax announced. You have 10 seconds to comply. The countdown passed in tense silence. At 0, the Inexorable fired, a brilliant beam of energy lancing toward the human vessel. The beam passed through empty space. Target has moved. An officer shouted, Impossible velocity. The human ship now hovered directly above the Inexorable, so close that it almost touched the warship's hull. Before the Dominion forces could react, pinpoints of light emerged from the intruder, dancing across the flagship's surface. Not weapons fire, scanning beams. They're downloading our databases, Zathera realized, watching the tactical display. How did they penetrate the shields? Admiral Drax was shouting orders, his flagship attempting evasive maneuvers that the human vessel matched effortlessly. The other warships fired, their weapons finding only void as the Nemesis shifted position faster than the targeting systems could track. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the confrontation ended. The human ship pulled away, accelerating to impossible speed. Within seconds, it had vanished from Dominion sensors, but it left something behind. Every screen on Helios 7, and the 3 warships displayed the same message. 3 centuries ago, your dominion found Earth. You saw our potential and fiat. You bombarded our world, reduced our civilization to ash and erased. Wrong history. We survived. And now we know the truth. You gave 3 days to prepare. We are returning to collect a debit of blood. The message was accompanied by coordinates, the location of the Dominion's throne world, Axis Prime, home to the Archon Council, and the heart of their civilization. In the silence that followed, Zathera noticed something strange. Admiral Drax did not seem surprised by the humans' accusations. He seemed afraid. Hours later, as Helios 7 buzzed with activity and reinforcements poured into the sector, Zathera received a private message from an unknown source. It contained historical records, genuine ones, not the sanitized versions in the official archives. They told a different story of humanity's end. 3 centuries earlier, Dominion scouts had discovered Earth, a vibrant world with a species advancing rapidly toward interstellar capability. The Archon Council, fearing potential competition, had ordered a preemptive strike. Operation Silent Cleansing had bombarded the planet from orbit, targeting population centers and infrastructure. The official record declared Earth uninhabitable due to natural disasters, its primitive inhabitants extinct. But the operation hadn't been as thorough as believed. Some humans had escaped, fleeing to the stars in experimental ships. For 3 centuries, they had hidden, evolved, and prepared. The vessel that had appeared at Helios 7 wasn't just a ship, it was the harbinger of humanity's return. As Zathera finished reading, her communication console chimed. A direct transmission from Admiral Drax. "Commander," he said, his voice unusually subdued. "You are to report to the flagship immediately. Bring any information you have on the human vessel. This situation has been elevated." "Understood, Admiral," Zathera replied, closing the illicit historical file. "May I ask what we're facing?" Admiral Drax's mandibles twitched, a sign of extreme stress in his species. "The end of everything we know, Commander. The humans were more than just another species. They were different, special. We thought we had eliminated a threat before it could mature. Instead, we may have created something far worse." The transmission ended, leaving Zathera staring at her reflection in the dark screen. In her 4 decades of service to the Dominion, she had never seen an admiral afraid. 3 days. The humans had given them 3 days. And somehow, Zathera suspected that would not be enough time to prepare for what was coming. Reckoning. The Grand Hall of Axis Prime pulsed with anxiety. The Archon Council, 12 ancient beings representing the founding species of the Galactic Dominion, sat in their crystalline thrones, expressions grim. High Archon Velzar, whose ancestors had led the Dominion for millennia, stared at the holographic display of the human vessel. 3 centuries, he muttered. 3 centuries of peace and prosperity built upon what we believed was a necessary sacrifice. And now this. The strategic advisor, General Morth, stepped forward. "The immediate threat assessment is grave, High Archon. Our analysis of the sensor data from Helios 7 confirms that the human vessel possesses technology far beyond our current capabilities. Their propulsion system alone would revolutionize our understanding of physics. They should be primitives," Counselor Telex objected. "Even if some escaped our cleansing operation, how could they have advanced so rapidly?" Admiral Drax, summoned from the border, cleared his throat. "The historical records suggest that humanity possessed remarkable adaptability and innovative thinking. Faced with extinction, those traits may have been enhanced." "And Commander Zathera?" Velzar asked, the officer who received the first contact. "Under protective custody," Drax confirmed. "She's been reviewing our historical archives on humanity. What little genuine information survived our purge of the records." Velzar nodded slowly. "Bring her in." Commander Zathera entered the Grand Hall with steady steps despite the oppressive atmosphere. She had spent the last day absorbing everything the Dominion knew about humans, their biology, psychology, and the classified details of Operation Silent Cleansing. "Commander," Velzar addressed her directly, "you've studied the available information. What is your assessment of our situation?" Zathera looked around the chamber, aware that her words might constitute treason. "High Archon, the Dominion made a catastrophic error 3 centuries ago. We encountered a species unlike any other, not stronger or more advanced, but uniquely innovative. Rather than observe or establish diplomatic relations, we chose extermination based on theoretical future threats." Murmurs spread through the hall, but Zathera continued. "The surviving humans have had 3 centuries of being hunted, hiding, and adapting. The vessel we encountered demonstrates technology that appears to violate our understanding of physics. I believe they could have destroyed our entire border fleet, but chose not to. They wanted us to know they're coming and why." "You sound sympathetic to these creatures," Counselor Telex accused. "I am sympathetic to truth," Zathera replied. "And the truth is that we are facing the consequences of a genocidal action taken by our ancestors." High Archon Velzar leaned forward. "What would you suggest, Commander?" Before Zathera could answer, the chamber's lights flickered. The massive screens that lined the walls activated simultaneously, displaying the same human face from the Helios 7 encounter. "Greetings, Archon Council," Captain Ilara Voss said, her voice echoing through the chamber. "I see you've been discussing us." Guards rushed to protect the counselors, weapons drawn, though there was no physical threat present. "How are you accessing our secure systems?" Velzar demanded. The human smiled. "You still don't understand what you're dealing with. We're not just survivors. We're what humanity was always destined to become. What do you want? Velzar asked, his voice steady despite the unprecedented security breach. Justice, Ilara replied simply. But first, education. The screens change, showing Earth as it had been. Blue oceans, green continents, teeming with life and civilization. Then came the Dominion's attack, orbital bombardment, atmospheric ignition, systematic destruction. The final images showed a scorched world, oceans boiling, cities reduced to ash. 8 billion lives, Ilara said softly. A world of art, science, dreams, and potential, erased because you feared what we might become. Silence fell across the chamber. And now? Velzar finally asked. Now you understand the scale of your crime, Ilara responded. Some of our people want the same fate for Axis Prime. Orbital bombardment, your civilization reduced to cinders. An eye for an eye. But we've evolved beyond such simplicities. The screens changed again, showing not one but thousands of human vessels, each as advanced as the Nemesis, positioned throughout Dominion space, near population centers, defense installations, vital infrastructure. We could end the Dominion today, Ilara continued, but genocide is your method, not ours. Instead, we offer terms. Those terms appeared on every screen in the Grand Hall. Acknowledgement of the crime against Earth and humanity. Reparations in the form of technological exchange. Territory concessions for human resettlement. Integration of human representatives into the Archon Council. Joint Historical Commission to restore humanity's place in galactic records. You have 1 hour to decide, Ilara concluded. Choose wisely. The screens returned to their normal state, leaving the Grand Hall in chaos. Counselors shouted over each other, guards established defensive positions, and strategic advisors huddled with military officers. This is outrageous, Counselor Telex declared. We cannot capitulate to threats. We cannot fight them either, General Morth countered. Did you see those ships? Their positioning. They've infiltrated our space completely. High Archon Velzar turned to Zathara. Commander, you've studied them. Are these terms sincere, or a prelude to destruction regardless of our answer? Zathara considered carefully. The historical records describe humans as capable of great violence, but also great compassion. They value justice over vengeance. I believe they would prefer peaceful resolution, but will not hesitate if denied. And their capabilities. Beyond our comprehension, Zathara admitted. The fact that they bypassed our most secure systems to broadcast directly into this chamber suggests technological superiority we cannot match. Velzar sank back into his throne. 3 centuries of Dominion supremacy had ended in 3 days. Prepare a response, he instructed. We will accept their terms. While the Council drafted their response, Zathara found herself drawn to the historical archives displayed during the humans' transmission. One image in particular caught her attention. A simple symbol on the side of the Nemesis, a phoenix rising from flame, with words beneath it in the human language. She activated her translator implant. From the ashes, not for vengeance, but for tomorrow. When the hour expired, Captain Ilara Voss reappeared on the screens. This time, she wasn't alone. Beside her stood humans of various appearances, some almost normal by galactic standards, others visibly enhanced with technological integrations. Your acceptance is noted, Ilara acknowledged as Velzar finished reading the Dominion's response. Our representatives will arrive within the day to begin the transition process. May I ask a question? Zathara spoke up suddenly, surprising even herself. Ilara's gaze found her. Commander Zathara, you've been studying us. How did you survive? Zathara asked. How did humanity endure when everything was taken from you? The human captain's expression softened slightly. We adapted. When driven from Earth, the survivors, mere thousands, faced 2 choices: cling to what we were or evolve into what we needed to become. We chose evolution. We integrated with our technology, expanded our minds, extended our lifespans. Each generation became more than the last. And now we are posthuman, Ilara explained, still carrying our humanity as our core, but transcended beyond what we once were. The Dominion feared what humans might become if left unchecked. The irony is that by trying to exterminate us, you accelerated that transformation. As the transmission ended and the council chambers emptied, Zathara remained, contemplating the implications. The Dominion had ruled through technological superiority and military might for millennia. Now they would share power with the species they had tried to erase, a species that had not only survived genocide but thrived, returning not for destruction but for justice. 3 days later, Zathara watched from the observation deck as the first official human delegation arrived on Axis Prime. Their ship, smaller than the Nemesis but no less impressive, landed with impossible grace in the central plaza. The delegates who emerged walked with the confidence of beings who had faced extinction and conquered it. Admiral Drax joined her at the viewport. The beginning of a new era, he observed quietly. Or the return of an old one, Zathara replied. Perhaps the humans always meant to reach the stars and change the galaxy. We just forced them to take a darker path to get here. The human delegation approached the Grand Hall, led by Captain Ilara Voss. Above them, visible through the transparent dome of Axis Prime, thousands of stars twinkled, and among them, invisible but present, watched the fleet of a humanity reborn, ready to claim their place in the galaxy that had tried to deny them existence. The Dominion had sought to prevent humanity's potential. Instead, they had forged it in fire.